Hey, how's it going? It's Rex with Rex Collects. I haven't made a video in a while. Haven't had a lot of time, but now that I do have more time, I figure maybe go over a couple of things. Well, at least just one thing, right? Um, and it is polybags. So I was going through my collection, and it was like, okay, maybe I should take some of my stuff out of poly bags and just make sure that they're taken care of or whatever. Now, for a lot of you older collectors, you know about polybags. Okay, cool, is what it is. But a lot of newer individuals, especially younger collectors, might not have ever ran into a polybag. Now, is it outdated? A lot of us think so, but these were in a polybag from GameStop, and that's Gunslinger number one. So that wasn't that long ago that they actually used polybags, and they used them the worst way possible. But regardless, I'll get to that. Yeah, if you've never really dealt with polybags, or you don't know why people take their comics out of polybags, then I'll show you a couple of things. One of the biggest things is, another reason why I brought it up is because there is a Spider-Man number one. I'm talking about the one by Todd McFarlane. That is it's in a poly bag, and it's a newsstand. So that's one of the cooler ways, or one of the ways that makes it look more special or whatever. So if you might not run into this a lot, but when you do, you'll understand why we take them out of them, right? So a big part is, all right, cool, this is Darker Image. Number one, Sam Keith, Jim Lee, and Rob Liefeld. How much is it worth? Probably like $10. But for me, the Max. When we were growing up, that was one of the cartoons that was on MTV, and this is his appearance, so that's cool. And then on the back, they did a real 80s thing or 90s thing, which is added a card. And it just so happens it's the Max as well. So that's awesome. Now, beyond that, polybags. This right here is the biggest problem of a polybag. And that is because it will leave a crease on the back of your comic if you store it in, if you store it closely with other comics, or if you put it in a bag and board, it's going to put pressure on the back of that comic. So that's why poly bags are, to me, I don't like them. Some people like them. Some people think, keeping them in the poly bag, holds its value and stuff like that. That's cool. I mean, but also too, I'm not holding on to anything valuable, so I'm going to cut it out of it. But it's just inconvenient to have to try to press this out of the back of a comic. And that's my biggest point about polybags, right? You can get amazing stuff until you start prepping that comic to be graded, and then now you have a big old crease from the polybag. Watch now, that because I'm talking about it, there isn't going to be one. I think I can already see it actually. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to be a little aggressive considering the fact that it is what it is, right? And you can actually see the crease in the card from the poly bag. That's crazy. I did not expect that. That probably hurts the grade of the card. Oh well, I'm sure it's worth like 13 cents. So because of being the nerd that I am, I'm going to sleeve it. Because it's still the Max. I already discussed why I like them. Cool. Now I have a card, like I said before, which really sucks because it has that crease down the middle of it. But either way, moving on to the actual comic. Now, this comic's pretty old, right? Look at that crease. That is the biggest problem with polybags. They look cool. They can keep them clean, whatever. Okay, yeah. This has a lot of spine ticks, whatever. Don't look at it based off of this comic because it's not a valuable one. But when you start looking at, like I said, that Spider-Man #1, that's a newsstand, that could hold some value at some point. Also, I collect a lot of kind of newsstand heavy stuff just because, you know, it looks different. But yeah, so just put it in a bag of board, take it out of the poly bag. Hopefully that'll save you a little bit of a headache, but that's the biggest thing that I'm talking about, or the biggest thing that I wanted to cover with poly bags, right? So now let's talk about the Gunslinger poly bag. So yeah, cool comic. It's a #1. It has the GameStop stamp on it. McFarlane. You can't go wrong, right? Is what it is. Cool. Well, they were super smart at GameStop and thought, you know, okay, well, let's do a poly bag thing. Amazing. That was a good idea. Let's, you know, do a callback. Actually, it doesn't look like... Yeah, you can still see it. But anyways, let's do a callback to older comics and put them in poly bags. Makes sense. What was a big problem? A board. Okay, let's put a board inside the poly bag. Perfect. What was the other problem? Nah, I don't think there's any. Well, they actually put the front of the comic lined up with the poly bag. So not only is it going to leave a crease, but you have pressure from a board, and then it's on the freaking front of the comic instead of the back. So, you know, that's extremely, it just doesn't make sense why you would do that. But anyways, so yeah, the back of it had a couple weird holes in it. But I mean, if you put the front of the comic here with the back, or with the board, and then it, like, what? Anyways, that was just extremely frustrating. Regardless, moving on. Another good example of poly bags are in the new Red Band comics, right? So it says Red Band right there. They come in these bags. It looks super cool, and you know, it's red or whatever, but you're still looking at the back of it. So with this blade, I don't think it's really that much, but I'm collecting the Wolverine Red Band right now, and I take them out of the poly board and put them in bags and boards. Now, the last topic will be, why do I do that, right? And the only reason why I do that is because of the support from our local comic book shop, America's Heroes and Comics, in Killeen, Texas. And Earl is an awesome guy if you're in the area. It's kind of a small area, so there are low chances that you're in this area. But really cool guy, will take all the time in the world to talk to you if you have questions. Extremely reliable. But yeah, so find yourself a hobby mentor and talk to them. You know, what is this? What is that? And some of these individuals are standoffish a little bit, but they have good advice to pass, and that's what I'm trying to do to y'all, or with y'all. So hopefully y'all enjoyed the video. But yeah, poly bags, take your comics out of them. It looks cool, is what it is, but in the end, it's more of an hassle. Cool. As always, stay safe.